I worked with like 55 plus businesses in e-commerce. Got to work with some big names, a Mike Tyson brand. AG1 helped them boost their email conversions by 50%. So basically, your ability to scale is dictated essentially by two things: your reach, aka your audience, and how many people you're engaging with, and what you sell them.
What I was very curious about, which you were touching on a moment ago, is how to get that defined outcome. Like, how do you monetize that?
So top of funnel, it's okay to have like this viral kind of content. You just have to make sure you have other things in place to then filter and qualify all of those eyeballs. Rarely just equal dollars. You have to turn those eyeballs into dollars. From this, there's a few things. So there's like a newsletter, which I'll be honest, it has now basically, in my opinion, taken the place of what social media used to be. You know, people are 40 times more likely to buy off of your email list than they are from social media. People go on social media to be entertained. By default, we are business focused when we go into our inbox. When you go into your inbox, you're like, you know, we're in a different state of mind than we are like in social media, which means it's a great place to further nurture those people.
I want to take the conversation towards email for a bit, because we've been talking about how to launch offers and how to, scale offers and really multiply the revenue on a business. Now it's like, great, that's good, assuming the reach is somewhat there for the business and you're getting people on the email list. What do you do with those people?
I'd say a lot of the magic with email comes in automations though. So your low ticket, do you have an upsell automation? Do you have automations for when people book calls, when people don't show up for their calls? Do you have all of these kind of automations in place? That's what's really needle movers, because they're tailored to the behavior, like the intent, like it's higher intent behavior.
Do you think it's a logical next step to move from copywriter to being like a marketing director or head of marketing?
All the paths come with more ownership. It's just which path of ownership do you want to take? For me, I was like, I want to be more in the marketing role, not the copywriting role. The reason why I leveled up is because I got frustrated all the time that I couldn't really grow a client's revenue that much because it was contingent on so many other things in the business that I had no say over. And like there's just a reality of life, and you can still make it. Copywriters are still needed, but they're not like they were. Like, we're playing off of a game that's expired. So many copywriters are trying to like make themselves more valuable by tweaking headlines. And like, sure, cool, especially if you're running to cold traffic, that makes sense. But you know what's way bigger leverage point? Like, how about you?
So today I'm here with Brennan Hopkins. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a moment since we last had a conversation, and I think you've done a lot of stuff over the last 5 years that I've known you. I know you were doing some work in e-com, and then you were doing some work here and there. Maybe you could just tell people watching a little bit about what you've been up to recently, because I'm very excited for this interview and what you've been up to. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, that's exciting. I appreciate that. I'm pumped to share, and hopefully some of my experiences and the many things I did wrong can help empower some other people to do things better than I did. I had a background, I've had an evolving career, copywriter, email marketing, e-commerce, got to work with some big names, a Mike Tyson brand. AG1 helped them boost their email conversions by 50%. And they put some of my copy on the box, which was really cool. And then graduated painfully to head of marketing kind of role. I started with this guy, it's a bit of a Twitter, LinkedIn guru called Matt Gray, brought in. And when I started with him, doing about 30-ish K a month, mostly with just his one-off consulting and a bit of a cohorty style thing. And about 22 months later, when I left, we were clearing 750K on average per month. So that was cool. And I'm now recently, in a recent year and a bit, I've been working with another YouTube creator who has about 340 subs, and we added an extra 200K a month to his monthly revenue in about 90 days. So it's pretty cool kind of things.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. Tell us about that. How did you go about taking somebody from 30K to 750K? I think it's a lot of info businesses, that's their dream, and a lot of copywriters, it's their dream to, get results like that for their clients.
Yeah, sick. Okay, so that is a couple of different questions or directions that we can go on that, and I'm happy to follow
Hmm.
both paths. I will start with the revenue growth one because that's sexier, frankly. So realistically, it is a combination of things. So basically, the your ability to scale is dictated essentially by two things: your reach, aka your audience, and how many people you're engaging with, and your what you sell them. Those two things. You don't have enough or a good enough thing or the right thing to sell, you can't scale because yeah, that is
Mm.
very difficult. If you don't have the reach, it doesn't freaking matter like how good your thing is. Like if you're only friends with 10 people, like you can only sell to 10 people, like that's it. That's the kind of thing. So it was a perfect combination. Like Matt is a phenomenal systems thinker. He just crushes at organic audience growth. So the guy is a master at getting people's attention. I was really brought in to help monetize that attention. So we then essentially built out what I like to call now the creator monetization method, which is basically four core pillars that we install from like a conversion ascension perspective. And then there's some other aspects internally in the business, which are actually the offer structures that will
Mm.
make or break the ability of the business to scale. So basically, um, one to like the first big jump when we 4x, there was two things that we did. We redid our core program to make it more valuable so we could charge more, and we started doing like live workshops. That alone,
Mm.
instant 4x growth in the business. And that was like massive. Then as we refined that, we were making more and more money without really changing anything. Then we installed some low ticket products, which then added another anywhere. We had one of the months we had a 90K low ticket month where just like all of our low tickets combined made 90 grand, which is pretty mental.
Nice. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, one of the other big revenue drivers was bringing in a head of sales. So like a guy who specialized in sales. So really, we just improved our conversion rate. This is something I saw with with my current client that I was telling you about. We drove a bunch of new traffic, and he was our main sales guy was manually canceling 50% of the calls. It's like, bang, like what the heck? No, like we can't grow the business if you're just canceling all these calls by saying that they're not qualified without actually talking to them. So it's crazy because you can literally not change anything on the front end and improve your conversion rate on the back end or your
Damn.
close
Mm.
rate and just skyrocket the revenue without even changing a thing on the front end. Um, then we added a mid ticket or like a higher ticket, two higher ticket products basically to the back end from that because we had our flagship program and we added two higher ticket options, and that essentially added frankly like close to 500K in revenue to the monthly revenue because the ticket
Mm.
prices were so much higher, if that makes sense. So that's like a 60-second synopsis, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people watching, and I'm definitely one of them in this case, because I'm learning from this and writing some notes, are asking themselves, like, how do we make that much money from like workshops and low ticket? Like, what's the psychology behind, especially with Matt's audience? Because I follow Matt Gray, and I know that
Yeah.
he's got quite there's a lot of like operating system language, there's a lot of B2B language. It's a sophisticated messaging, how do you actually create workshops and low tickets for people at that level in the game? I mean, you know, that's interesting to me.
So we operate, it's not really operate, but like I think there's a bit of I'm sorry, we're gonna have ADHD brain going on because there's a few different components to this. Um, First of
Yeah.
all, sell something of value to people that can buy it. That is like the core of anything. I recently was on a consulting call with a guy who just had an exit from a lead gen agency for like, I'm assuming 7 figures something. He sold his agency. Really awesome. He's like, hey, I want to build out a 3 to 5 mil a year company info coaching company like what Matt did. What do you recommend? You know, face value, it's like, cool, you know how to do lead gen. We should build a program around like how to do lead gen. You know, that's the thing that like, that's your core skill set. That's what like a lot of people would think. He had a decent amount of following. We could have done a 6-figure launch, most likely because of his following, if he launched a cohort. That business specific model would have struggled really to get past 1 mil a year, probably, maybe max 2. Because two things, the service was either like broke people who won't be able to stick or have the money to like stick with it long enough to actually get the results, or people that have money that don't want to learn how to do it. They just want to pay someone. So at best, we're going to maybe sell to like a company to train their team. That's like best case scenario, which is a pretty bad like overall service. Like that's a bad model to operate with. So then taking a step back, like after realizing that, it's like, well, what's the thing that would actually people would pay a lot of money with? They're like, how to exit an agency. People would love to learn how to do that. And there are so many people, and they would pay quite well, and they would be quite committed to that program as well, right? Like this is incredible. Like no one's like, okay, not no one, but it's very few people are like, yeah, in 6 months, I'm going to scale and exit my agency. We're not even fighting a timeline thing. Like they would naturally accept a 1 to 3 year timeline from the get-go, that it's going to take that while to build something up that then you can exit. So we are building in the ability to rebuild them a lot, you know, naturally. Second of all, they would happily pay quite a bit of money to have that thing. So it's like, hey, you stick with us and we'll help you have a 6-figure exit. And in the process, we'll help you systemize it to where you're working 20 hours a week and still bringing home X amount of dollars, like in the meantime. So it's like, there's just milestones built in. That is essentially kind of what we were doing with Matt, and we just got better as we iterated. So V1, first of all, soulful entrepreneur, wasn't even Founder OS. It was like a 3-week cohort. Then we turned that into a course that had a weekly call, 2K, whatever. Random ass concepts, no real definitive outcome, very hard to scale. It was like just based on, we like Matt, so we'll buy his stuff. So maybe some of that magic will rub off on us. That's essentially what it was. You can do that to some degree, but that's really hard to scale, because what are you promising people? Like rubbing shoulders? And then unless you're, you know, a prophet or Jesus who's like, if I touch this, then you will become wealthy. Like eventually people will realize just the clout, like just the name isn't enough to get the outcome. So we then restructured the program, and it's crazy. I can talk about this, but we actually went through multiple iterations of the program itself, which is something that I'm seeing a lot with digital products and courses and coaches right now in 2026 is we started getting more defined on the outcome, and then building the program to help them achieve said outcome. And that allowed us to, from there, so that's the core product, like whatever, 5K, then it went up to like $6,800. And then we then was just like, cool, how do we charge people more money? Okay, we add additional support, additional systems, additional, like basically what happened in the end is we started tiering it based off of the kind of the outcome that they wanted to achieve. It's like, hey, want to build a 30K a month online business, 30K to 50K, whatever. I don't know the exact number. Maybe we said more. That's what I personally felt it was. Cool. It's this much money. This is what you get. We'll give you these things. Cool. Hey, you looking to do $500,000 a year? You need to be in this thing. This is the thing. This comes with this, X, Y, Z to be able to like achieve that outcome. Hey, do you already have $1 million a year company? Are you stupid rich and you want to like become mass influencer? Do you want a $5 to $10 million a year business? You need to be in our mastermind. It's way more money, but you like are working you're working with Matt directly and only other like high tier caliber people. There's no noobs here kind of vibe.
Well, so it's interesting that you say that that's how the offers were structured in the back end. Like you'd have different levels depending on how much they make. They kind of like self-categorize. A lot of people struggle with that offer or like that sort of structure, I suppose, because he had a bigger reach and he had a certain lifestyle already. He attracted enough people
Yes.
that there would be enough there would be enough people to join those offers? Because I imagine some people with like less reach, they're obviously not going to be able to have so many sort of different categories of how people can work with, the founder, right? Because you just don't have the reach. But what I was very curious about, which you were touching on a moment ago, is how to get that defined outcome, like how to get clear on what is the thing that's going to be like the flagship offer for a business. Like, how do you monetize that? Because obviously there's lots of personal brands that they people know them, they like them, they trust them. They have a lifestyle that they're living. So people watching them or reading the content, they're like, yeah, I kind of want that lifestyle. But how do you actually put that in a message that can scale? Like, how do you put that in that sales message or, marketing message, I guess we could call it?
First of all, you got to actually be clear on how or what you're going to be able to get the people, like what you're giving the people. So a lot of people say, we want this lifestyle, but that lifestyle is actually made up of certain things. I have a certain amount of time freedom. I have a certain amount of revenue. I have a certain amount of connections, XYZ. And so you have to take a second and actually dissect what is coming into what you are doing. And so I would say one of the reasons why many info coaching related products fail to scale properly is because they haven't actually taken the time to look at what components came into the current reality that they have, and then figuring out how to systemize those or teach those in a way so people can then replicate them. And so you have if you look at a lot of marketing messages, it's missing a logic bridge. People, and David Ogilvy said this, like, the customer is not a moron. The customer is your wife. Like, people aren't idiots. Like, you can get some people by saying, like, look, me with the Lambo, buy my thing. And you will get some people that will buy from you because they will just be like, hey, Lambo, like, I buy this course, I get Lambo. Like, that's how they think. That is such a small percentage. And you have to constantly be reaching out and basically getting people that aren't a high sophistication level to kind of low-key trick them into that thing. So what's the actual way to reach more people? Okay, break down, reverse engineer your success, and then offer to help people replicate it. And by building like stepping stones or a bridge to a certain outcome, that's where like the real power, I guess, lies. And I guess even just being specific about the outcome. I was on a call a couple of days ago with an entrepreneur, and he's like, I don't know how to define this. And I was like, well, you have no outcome that you're promising people. That's why. Like, grow a business. What does that even mean? What's the context? Give some people some specificity so at the very least they can orient themselves towards your offer or away from it if it's not the right fit. And so I'd say a lot of people overthink. I saw this recently on, I think it was X. They're like, what happened with the Cluely guys, which apparently were some guys that were just crushing it with some organic marketing. They're like, they basically disappeared. And someone in the comments was like, they realized that virality doesn't equal money. And it's like, that is so true. Like, it just is. What gets attention is something that it's for dopamine seekers. And reality is, like, we don't want dopamine seekers if you're selling a high ticket thing. You want people that will are actively choosing to buy your thing, if that makes sense, which means they got to be in a slightly different, you can capture their attention maybe, but there needs to be a path, a journey to take them on to where they arrive at the conclusion to where they're willing to part with potentially thousands of their dollars for what you have to offer them.
Yes, that makes sense. So if I've got an offer and I want to make it better, or I want to create multiple offers, or I want to optimize the main one, I'll break down the components of the success I have or the success my client has, look at what they did, kind of then look backwards and what did they do to get there? Is there a system that they followed? Is there something they did consistently? And then you start to have all these sort of different components that you can either, mix and match, or you can decide like which ones are the most relevant for the person following us that they would want to buy, they'd want to learn the most. And that kind of starts to guide you in how you would structure the offer. And then you would have a pretty clear, that makes sense. And it'd be very easy to construct a marketing message, because it's like, hey, here's how I grew, my Instagram from 0 to 1 million in the space of 12 months. That's a really powerful component. That's like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's what you did.
And then if you have, so once you have the components there, what I was curious to know is, okay, you got all the components, got all the marketing message. Then for someone like Matt Gray, or someone like any personal brand, I suppose, how do you make sure that you talk to the people in your content to balance the virality aspect of it? Like you mentioned, clearly didn't have, the product market fit so much as they had more virality, right? It's like, how do you get that? How do you get the reach that's also going to want the offer, but at the same time, it's still big, it's still relevant enough that a lot of people find value in it? It's like, what would you say is the nice balance there?
Yeah, cool. So the cool thing is, like, you can just zoom out a little bit and that'll give you more reach from like a virality perspective, but you just have to make sure that there is an intentional funnel or pathway to lead people to the thing from that. You can't assume, because I went viral with like 5 tips to like hack the Instagram algorithm, that then people are now going to want to pay you $2,000, like just off of that. That'll get the fight, because like hacking the algorithm is attractive to so many people. They would like that is something that would have wide reaching appeal. Okay, cool. So you basically then have to try and like move them from a dopamine like top of funnel place to more of a nurturing space, where you can then educate them or give them more time to interact with you and learn more about what you are doing, and then essentially self-select. So top of funnel, it's okay to have like this viral kind of content. You just have to make sure you have other things in place to then filter and qualify all of those eyeballs that you're getting, because the eyeballs don't rarely just equal dollars. You have to turn those eyeballs into dollars. So from this, there's a few things. So there's like a newsletter, which I'll be honest, in the coaching space, newsletter now is kind of almost just like another version. It's like a more intentional version of like your free like nurturing. It has now basically, in my opinion, taken the place of what social media used to be. Like, just because someone is a subscriber, you just have a little more extra influence over them. They're not necessarily buyers like they used to be, 5 years ago. It was kind of like super easy to convert a lot of people, but you now have way more of their attention. People are 40 times more likely to buy off of your email list than they are from social media. Also, what's the average reach on most people's social media stuff? Like 5% of their audience. Most emails average 30 to 40% open rates. So ginormous, just like opportunity. Also, people go on social media to be entertained. By default, we are business focused when we go into our inbox, or tasks focused. So it's just even a totally different state of mind. Like, people are, unless you're procrastinating, people are like, man, I'm really bored. Let me go read some emails. That's not what we do. We open social media. When you go into your inbox, you're like, we're in a different state of mind than we are like in social media, which means it's a great place. It's a great place to further nurture those people. Now, I would say the real magic comes in these kind of more activation conversion things, which would be some sort of monthly activation event, which could be free or paid, and low ticket products, which is basically an indoctrination accelerant for people. Because as now the data is showing, it's like 13 hours or something. I don't know. It's crazy the amount of maybe it's 13 touch points, 7 hours of consumption time needed for someone to trust you. So really the main way that you can kind of condense that is just by having people give small buy-ins to where they then allow, like, because they're already invested now, the impact of what you share with them is more impactful. So it's like,
Makes sense.
I chose to be here, so I'm actually more open to being influenced rather than like just randomly on social media. It's like, whoa, that's cool, great, whatever, keep going. But it's like, hey, I sign up for something to learn from someone. Guess what? I'm going there with the intent to learn. When I buy a low ticket product from someone, I'm actually saying, I trust this person enough to at least hear their perspective, which that then creates a like reinforcing loop that as long as you deliver, they will now trust you more. Like they've literally given you the option to just prove how great you are to them. All you have to do is not screw it up, frankly, in a sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just thinking for myself now. Let's say I run some low ticket or a workshop to my email list, right? And now based on what we've talked about, I take the components of what made me successful, break down one that's very appealing to the market that they would really care about, kind of make that into a system, which I then maybe could make into a low ticket or a workshop, right? That's kind of where we're at in terms of the strategy. Then what would I do? So if they come to this workshop, do I sell them live? Do I do it like a live presentation challenge style sale?
100% have a close in there. And like realistically, if your product is $1,000 or less, you can sell like direct with a link from your thing probably, or like a Google Doc. But if you're over $1,000, you're probably going to need, I mean, I only say because for Matt, like we discounted his original program. It was like $2,000 and then a webinar special or a workshop special for $1,000, and people would buy like just right off of that. And so obviously there's proof of concept. I had another client years ago that did these live workshops. Same deal, same price point, like $2,000 normally, $1,000 workshop special. People would buy straight off, like just a link to the landing page to where they basically. When you get into the multi-thousands of dollars, or frankly, if you just want to ensure that you have a higher close rate, then do calls, or at very least like DM funnel kind of like messaging, like closing kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, there's a give and take. It's gonna be personality based.
Yeah.
There's like proven principles, and then there's just like you as a person. So you got to build your own business too, at the sense, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I think is worth now, and let's see. Is there anything else in specific to that you were curious or wanted to explore more?
No, I think that's the main stuff, just to understand the funnel structure. Just makes a lot of sense. You have low ticket with an ascension, and you have different types of low ticket, whether it's a workshop or whether it's, that makes sense. I think a lot of info businesses run funnels like this. I suppose maybe one last thing on that would be just the amount of copy, because obviously copywriters watching this are going to think to themselves, okay, cool, maybe I can close those clients, but what's that going to take from me in terms of, time investment to actually write those kinds of emails, maybe even potentially consult and help with the offer creation of the low ticket offer or the workshop. And then actually also maybe even potentially script some of the workshop, and like, can the client deliver that sales message, and can we actually do a close live? Because that's not something that every founder's going to be able to do easily. That's going to take some practice or some time, and some might not even be on board. So like, what does it take to actually run one of those workshops if you're a copywriter in the business? Yeah,
so I kind of developed, and this is just my slight twist remix, on all the proven principles. That's why I actually built out what I call the scriptless workshop, which is framework outline based, no script, because I wasn't getting paid that much money. And I'm like, there's no way I'm like doing this thing, like scripting this thing out every month. Also, these are like 50-minute presentations. Another issue that I had was I'm like, why am I the copywriter trying to come up with the teaching points when they're the expert? That's so silly. Why would I not let the expert teach the points? Wouldn't they be better? Like, don't they know their thing better than I do? Like, what is up with this? And so the concept behind like the scriptless workshop is the showcase of mastery, not a perfect sales message. Because and this is based off of the fact of like, You see these people, like, we are fascinated by watching masters of their craft do things. Like, that's what, just watch videos, like, whatever, doesn't matter. Blacksmith, cake creator, chef, sushi guy, sword person. I don't know. Like, we will just watch these things in amazement. Why? Well, because at one point of time, proficiency from an evolutionary perspective equated with a higher chance of survival. And we have not outgrown yet or out-evolved some of these base kind of status signals that used to be a bigger deal than they are today. You know, realistically, a fancy cake isn't going to save my life probably. But the act of being an expert a couple thousand years ago, a few thousand years ago, meant a lot higher chance of surviving. And so I am innately attracted to that because of that. Like, I want to stay alive. Like, those are all just core, like, programmed, DNA programmed, like, things. Second of all, we are intrinsically trust people more when we think that they're an expert. And so one of the easiest things to become more trustworthy is just show that you know what you're talking about. Like, just demonstration of your thing. So what better case to do that? And so I kind of went at it with that perspective of, like, what if we just actually gave them stuff and demonstrated how much we know this, and then instead, this is funny, I just called it, like, instilling optimistic despair. It's like, wow, I've never believed more than that this is possible more than ever, and I'm also really scared that I will not be able to achieve it without the help of this person. And so this, like, tension, we're basically just trying to foster that. Not to say that people can't close better or worse, but it's really just, if you have a solution, if you have a solution to someone's problem, how bad of a job do you have to do for them to not to want it? Like, just don't mess it up. Like, not mess it up. You don't have to be amazing. Just don't say something terrible, if that makes sense. And you can kind of structure that, and you got to recognize it's going to be iterative. So, like, cool, maybe the first one's a bit awkward, but, like, I've had two clients, super small audiences, both, they're like, oh, so such small people, 20% close rate basically on those things.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah. That's good.
For relatively, and that's just because it's rapport building. Like, that's actually what we're trying to do. And I would say the contrast to, like, webinars, in my opinion, are trying to raise the emotional state of a person so high that you basically convince them to buy before the hype wears off. It's just a hype fest, to where you're just pumping so that it's like a tidal wave and they just get blown over, and that's why they sell, which can work, and maybe there's a place for that. But, like, first of all, that would lead to a lot higher resentment, you know, like, not resentment, maybe resentment, but, like, regret, refunds,
you have a lot of
actually
buyer's
committed
remorse
to the process, like, all these kind of things, not getting an outcome, which then negatively impacts you even further. Whereas, what does it look like for you to just inception in an ethical way such a strong belief that you have their solution? You can't get in the way of someone from making that decision. Like, they will force you over if they actually believe that strongly. So how do we do that? We let them get exposure. We let them see. We build a safe, like, a place with trust where they don't feel like they're being preyed upon. All we're doing is presenting them the solution to the thing that they already said, to the problem they already said they have. And so that's just not to say there aren't ways that you can do it better, because obviously, like I said, we brought in a head of sales and our close rate went up. So we got better at closing things. Like, you can improve that. But also, if you let the thing of, like, what if I don't do it great, or what if I'm not the best at this, it will never happen. And you're kind of missing the point that, like, people just want to connect with another human Like that's actually what matters most, is someone to take the time out of their day and be like, hey, this isn't everything, but here are 3 things right now that are real that you can do to help you achieve a certain outcome. And I give freely, like I give that to you. There's another thing that I was talking about too. So this is the cool thing about the scriptless workshop, is it's framework based, so it's plug and play. So I basically have a specific type of intro that is aspirational. It's like an aspirational story, but it's not even aspirational. It's actually just pre-frames. It's a matrix style, building the context of whatever message I want them to believe by the end. So it's like, hey, we want to talk about the importance of a mentor. Yo, found this story about this guy who was in a small aircraft and the pilot passed out due to a medical emergency. The passenger, spoke with the tower. They had an instructor there. He pulled up the plane diagram and gave him instructions, and the dude landed. That's like, cool. That's the frame we're entering in this presentation for. And then we have 3 to 5 teaching points. I frequently would just swap out one teaching point and rearrange the order. Ta-da! Now we have like, you change the story and 1 or 2 teaching points, maybe some testimonials here and there every so often, and you now have like a 60 to 80% new presentation under a new hook that you can share with your audience and attract more people.
So over the last year, I've seen something I've never seen before. Copywriters and marketers, they're making more money than ever before, especially the top 1%. And if you want to be one of them and you want to join us and you want to get insights into exactly what's happening in our industry and also get my raw and unfiltered thoughts, the stuff that we're not sharing here on YouTube, then apply to join my email list at list.copywriting.org. And I'll see you in my next email. Now let's get back to the video. My favorite thing, Brennan, when it comes to selling with copy, like my favorite formula that I use is niche result offer, which is, the person that needs help, the result that they want, and then the offer that's going to help them get that result, right? So it's very, very simple, those 3 pieces, like product market fit.
That's beautiful.
And I've recorded a couple of videos on it, on the channel, but this is like what you're saying is that on steroids, because you have a presentation for a very specific type of person to help them get a very, very specific type of result. And then within that, then you've got a couple of different points that are each like things to help them make progress with each step of the process. So it just feels like everything here is all just that. It just all goes back to, and then the actual offer that you make them after the workshop is also niche. This group of people that have this problem to get this result need this offer, right? So it's just like, it's the same thing all the way through. And I think copywriters struggle with this. They don't spend enough time on the marketing message. They spend lots of time on story. They spend lots of time on relatability. They say stuff in the close. Maybe they even work on their bullets. But I think the number one thing when I review copy, the number one thing missing from most of the body copy, the middle section of the copy, is you don't have a clear sentence that says what this is, who it's for,
that's exactly right,
and what it's going to help them get as a result. And like, this is the perfect case study with Matt, right? Because you went from like 30K to like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. To me, from what you're telling me, like that's the number one leverage point that was missing from his like the offer side of his business. It was like the reach was good, but that's the monetization side. You just fix that one thing. That was the biggest difference. And it's just like the workflow of how you deliver that is different.
That's exactly right. And the cool thing is, like, it's still based around the core premise, and that's your low ticket now. So the workshops that we did were free. You have a lot of mixed messages. I think I found if you have a smaller audience, it's probably better to do like, well, you just try it, but you might be better off doing a paid version. I don't know if you can, I don't know if you pitch the same way, frankly, in a paid one, let's say, whatever. It's in a free one, I felt very free to like put whatever clothes I wanted in there because they didn't pay anything for it. So there was like more freedom. That was great from siphoning attention from social media into even just our newsletter. We got 5K subs 1 month from just the workshop, which was crazy. And we were averaging 2 to 3K subs many months from just promoting that on our social media. But this is the thing too, like now And I will clarify, like, you just want to make it clear how what you are sharing is part of a bigger thing. That's the main, like, give them something, but just also show them this is part of the big picture. So if we're going to compare this to a meal, you know, it's like you can say how to, like, maybe like 3 steps to making the perfect dinner. Cool. But that's not the experience. That's not the cocktails. That's not the appetizer. That's not the dessert. That's not all of these other things, if that makes sense. That's like a small part of the whole picture. And you just want to kind of make it clear that what you're double clicking into an aspect. Don't, in my opinion, like, one of the easiest things, like, don't promise you're giving them the whole system if you're not giving them the whole system. Just don't. Like, that's so easy, but just figure out another way to say it. 3 core steps. That's cool. You can say that, you know? Or if you're saying it's the whole system, give them an overview of everything so that they do have, you know, 4 pillars. If it's 4 pillars, okay, teach them what those 4 pillars are. Like, you don't have to give them the sauce in all the things, but just teach them, because that is true. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just be honest. Who would have thought? But this is cool for a low ticket. That's all that you do. We had, this is insane, 68K, maybe 69K, which is funny, but like launch for one of his low ticket products. And it was a 8-day window, and then it shut down. 68K for the low ticket. It was just something from our core program. I just took this one aspect and repackaged it and had created a couple bonuses. And we created a low ticket product that, like, absolutely crushed. So it's so easy to do regular low ticket product launches. And second, I would say, like, side note, these don't have to be front facing. They can be internal, which is great. Like, that's so good. That doesn't mean you got to, like, add it to your website. It's fine. Like, just creating more opportunities for people to get more invested or more indoctrinated or closer to the thing. I'm like, all roads lead to Rome. Like, for me, I'm like, everything, I don't care. We can have a bajillion roads, but they all just need to work back to, like, our core offers, if that makes sense. And so it's so easy to just break apart aspects of what you do and then sell it. And your copy, look, we can talk. I've got, like, templates and AI systems for a lot of this stuff at this point. But you build it once and then replicate it, because what matters, like, everyone in I would say, so look, I was a copywriter. I have mixed feelings about copy, but I was a copywriter for a long time, and, like, you will rarely create tweaks in copy that will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to people's revenue. But you can launch a new product and it might launch and it will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to people's revenue. So, like, and you know what? It doesn't even have to be that amazing of a landing page. Just make one but sell the thing. Not like, and I'm so many copywriters trying to, like, make themselves more valuable by tweaking headlines. And, like, sure, cool, especially if you're running into cold traffic, that makes sense. Like, there's a level to where, like, you want to optimize that stuff for sure. But you know what's way bigger hit door, like, leverage point? Like, how about you launch a new product for 5 months in a row? Like, that's crazy. You're going to monetize way more of the audience that way. And you're going to give the likelihood. We had at one point, it was like 22% of people in our flagship program had purchased a low ticket. You know, my other client, we had a 1 in 13 upsell rate from our low ticket to our flagship program.
It's good. It's really good.
You know? And that was like just like looking for ways to actually move people closer to the goal, and, like, stop thinking about, like, what word and thinking about what thing needs to happen to move someone to that. And that's why the bigger picture is like, rarely is it a single word that's going to change someone's life. It's a thing like this. It's us getting together and having a chat, and somewhere in there, one of us is going to make an offhanded comment. It's going to land with someone. But if I tried to optimize my landing page for that, there's no way I could ever do it.
Yeah.
Create contexts, create circumstances that then empower people to move towards the desired outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I had a similar thing with one of my clients. They used a similar process to how you've been doing it with Matt Gray, where they would take the main offer that they have, and they would break it into all the different systems that you need to get the final results. And then they would have pieces. Each system would be like a lead magnet that they'd run ads to. So they have like Facebook ads, and then they'd run to like a free lead magnet PDF. So, sales scripts would be like one lead magnet. Another lead magnet would be like how to get clients from LinkedIn. And they would just have all these little pieces. And, it was interesting to me because the actual offer was very high ticket. It was a very high ticket offer. But those pieces, even though those pieces were extremely valuable for the offer, when you take them out of the offer, you can kind of zoom out and say, and that's just one of the many systems that you need to get X, Y, Z results. And I'm sure that there are some people who would go and download every single system and try and build like their own sort of, I don't know if those people would ever buy anyway. That's not the type of customer you'd want to deal with, is those kinds of people.
Thing.
Right?
If someone's going to game the system that much, you probably don't want them in your program, frankly, like just reality. So you're going to lose out maybe on a few sales, maybe?
Yeah.
By like doing this, but upside,
save yourself the client success headache as well, though.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Like, you don't want crappy people in your program, because it makes everyone's experience worse. And we all know this firsthand. There's one client or one type of person, and they just require so much more bandwidth than anyone else. So it's like, we want people, like, that's the other thing, is it's like, I go from a space of like kind of freely giving because I want people that are bought in for themselves. Like, I don't want to have to convince them to be bought in. It's like, you either want this pizza or you don't. Like, I'm not gonna like, here it is, it's delicious. But if you don't want it, like, what am I gonna be like, you gotta take this, So stop. Again, like, how limited is your perspective? That sounds really insulting. I'm sorry. I just went into a judgmental space, but we're here now. So here we go. How limited is your perspective of the world that you don't think that there are other people that want the outcome that you have and won't believe in it? It's like someone that's been in one bad relationship and they're like, well, I guess this is me now. I'm only going to be in terrible, like, this is the quality of all relationships. It's like, well, this was the relationship with that person. Guess what? There's a bajillion other people out there, and that means there's a very high likelihood that you will get a better relationship, assuming you pick a person that's better than the one you were with last time.
Yeah. So there's, I suppose, two ways we could take this then, now that you've mentioned that, there's lots of options. It's like, obviously there's the client aspect side for copywriters and marketers who want to make more money by closing a client. And it's like, there are good clients out there like Matt Gray. There are Matt Grays out there. But then also the other thing, maybe before we get into that, like how you go about, finding these people that give you the freedom to really build the business with them. Sure. When you're working with a client, how do you get to the point where they're like, I know what we actually want you to be involved in the offer? Because I had a client once that I had a lot of ideas for. I was running their marketing. I was telling them, hey, let's do this and let's do this. And this is what we need to do. And they didn't want to listen, even though that was the role I was in. So I fired them because I was like, look, good. After 3 months, I was like, fired them. But what would you say are some ways that you can kind of step into that role when you're working with clients already? You maybe already have a good client and you want to get more involved, like how do you tell them, hey, we need to create this workshop, or let's create this, or let's do that? So
I like to, there's this thing I say, spin off on the Batman quote, it's like, you either die a villain or live long enough for the client to realize you were right and they should have listened to you. And so the reality is, this is the thing, like, I'll just I'll give you a real life example. I am currently working with an incredible founder who's got a multi-7-figure business. Phenomenal. We've been working together for 2 months, have not implemented any marketing things yet. Why? Because there are so many other barriers that we literally just cannot get any of the marketing done. And so that leaves me with 2 options. Be like, okay, are you okay if we work together, continue to work together in the current capacity? Or do we need to pause until some of these other things are in place to where we can actually do the thing that will get you the outcome? And again, like, I empathize deeply. Like, I have achieved a lot of incredible things for clients, but like, I have had many of my own like personal business challenges. So like, I'm not pretending like I'm not talking from there with like someone that's not a stranger. Like, I've priced myself low for many years for a lot of reasons. Part of being like, that was the easiest way to ensure I got clients. So like, I'm not like the multi-million-dollar copywriter guy being like, you know, looking down. I understand. I'm just telling you that there is just the reality of life, and it's ironically not so different than the relationship. Is like, people will show you who they are. It's up to you as to whether or not you believe them or not, or whether or not you think it's worth putting in the effort to hopefully get some sort of different outcome. Like, that's your choice. So you have to decide that. One of the easier ways to do that is to have a frank conversation about what the scope of your work looks like. I had so many struggles in the early phase trying to transition to the head of marketing. By the way, I took a pay cut to get that role with Matt because I knew I just needed I needed the experience. Like, I took a pay cut to get that role. Now I'm able to come in, and I can come in as a consultant, a marketing consultant, because I've done it before. Like, whereas before, as a copywriter, constantly trying to get more ownership, it feels from a business owner perspective, it feels like you're trying to you're trying to take advantage of what they have worked so hard to build. I understand you see the potential of what it can be. Okay, cool. If that's really the case, then you have to go the extra mile to make it as much of a no-brainer plug-and-play option for them, to where it is really seen as an add-on, not as a way that you're trying to make more money off of all the hard work that they've done. And I gave this advice. I had someone, I made a post, and this guy commented. He's like, yeah, I have a media buying agency. I work with supplement companies. I built my own supplement company before, and I have an entire process to where like I can rejig basically their whole offer over 12 months and make them more money. But people always feel so resistant to it. And I said, well, that's because you're presenting yourself as a media buyer. So they're like, what are you, bait and switching them? They're coming in as a third-party provider for one service, and then you're like, give me your baby, I can do it better. Like, that's kind of what you're saying. So my advice to him was, first of all, you need to reposition yourself to being a scaling partner, or you need to build out a roadmap where when people start working with you, you have a 45-day check-in where you show them, hey, look how much results we've gotten so far. I have a proven process. I can get you even more results.
You're literally doing the same thing for yourself as you would do with clients. It's like, zoom out, here's all these other things that are part of the process.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Here are all the other ways. And I've already proven myself, you're invested, and it's a very open-handed thing because I'm not tricking them. All I'm doing is offering to help them, I'm sorry, I switched from me to them, but like all they're doing is offering to help them unlock more revenue. And the reality is, to do that, you need more creative control. And like, frankly, there's a level of like freelancers, third-party consultants need to have better boundaries. It's like, cool, I can't help you scale past this if you won't give me more, if you won't listen to what I'm saying.
I think there's a really good point that you brought up, though, for especially many copywriters who are trying to get more involved in the business and help the business more. You mentioned the plug and play aspect of it. That's like the biggest thing is if you come to the business owner and you say, hey, I've got this idea. I want to do this. I want to do this. But like, I also need this person in your team. And I also need this. And I also need this. And I want you to do this. And I need this. It's like, okay, great. I like your idea. We don't have the resources that we want to allocate to that. Like, can you make this a no-brainer in the sense that it's like, if you say, hey, here's an idea. And you know what? I've already gone ahead and I've actually built that entire workshop and I already have the structure. Here it is. Done.
We need you. Can you show up for 90 minutes in 3 weeks from now? I've already built the thing out. Guess what? And you're like, I have a high chance that it's going to get us 5 to 20 new clients. Guess what? You know what? You know what I'm saying? You could probably even ask for a bonus if it works well. Hey, I've done this. Also, if this works well, like say we close like 10 clients, would you be okay with giving me like a small bonus?
Yeah.
Like it's so, but this is like James Kemp said this to me once when I was at his intensive, and it was really powerful. He's like, no one cares if you're rich, but they don't want you to get rich off of them. And that's so true from like a client. Like, and as copywriters, I'm gonna be honest, like I've had a hard career because I've not realized that I don't have the outcomes that I want because I haven't become the person and don't have the skill set that's worthy of those outcomes. And so it's really more on me to level up so that I can start getting those outcomes. And like there's just a reality of life, and you can still make it. Copywriters are still needed. These things are still needed, but they're not like they were. And we can't pretend like we're playing an old game, like we're playing off of a game that's expired. Like it's frustrating. I understand. Like you can be upset about it, like all those things. It's okay to feel that frustration, but that doesn't change the fact that like right now we have to do something if we want to achieve the things that we say. So like take your own career equally as serious as you would your business, your clients take their own business. You know?
It's really, really good. That's a really good point. I think a lot of copywriters have had a hard time, especially the ones that had previous skills that were more in demand back then, that were easier to close as a client. And now it's like market has shifted a little bit, the demand's a little different. And it can be difficult to want to shift, especially if you get comfortable with a certain skill set. Like I know for myself, I resist a lot of front end conversion, cold traffic copy. I enjoyed my email life. I enjoyed my email lifestyle. I was traveling the world. I was writing my emails on my Google Doc. But, this is, I think, the biggest challenge maybe with creatives in general, like in our space, because, I work with a lot of copywriters. I know you've worked with a lot of copywriters as well. And we've obviously, we are copywriters, the biggest challenge I've had, working with copywriters is they're a little dreamy sometimes. and it can be good. It can be good, but there's a challenge to it too. It's like if you're a bit dreamy, how do you need to apply yourself to finish the work, do the thing you say you're going to do on time, at the highest level of quality, and then suggest your ideas to the business owner. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, like I have this great idea for you. I have this great idea. We need to fix this. We fix this. It's like cool. As a business owner, I appreciate that, but like. I paid you to do these two things and you're not doing them. That's
exactly right. Yeah, you're not.
Like do this first and then we have the other conversation. And it's like, it doesn't even, there are copywriters at 10K a month, 15K, 20K a month who still fall into this trap. It's not like you kind of ascend out of this if you get better at the skill. It's like sometimes we just don't feel like sitting there and working, we'd just rather like consult. I mean, how cool is it to just sit there and say, hey, we'll do this and do this and do this and you can make money. It's like, that sounds like quite 100%. Fun work, but sitting there and actually doing it, that is sometimes challenging. So
I had a copywriter actually pay to do a consulting call with me the other night, and I was chatting to him, and he's like, it's crazy because he's doing all this awesome stuff, but it's with one client, and I, even myself, I was like, look, when I parted ways with Matt, I didn't immediately like go off and launch this like scale your info thing because I did it with one person. Like I was confident. I then did the same thing with another guy and boom, 90 days. I was so cool. You can see the post on my Facebook. It's literally like, I put a plan to double this guy's revenue in 90 days. 102 days later, we doubled his revenue. 110 days later, which was like just under, it was like we almost tripled it. Like it was crazy. And I was like, cool. This thing, it's like all right, it wasn't like a fluke. Yeah, no, I'm saying, not saying that it'll be perfect or like every outcome, but like, it's a thing. And so I told this guy though, I'm like, cool. First of all, you need more bandwidth because you're too overextended and it's not ever going to like you're not going to be able to build out what you need to level up. So you need to restructure a little bit like your current setup. So you need a few like lower bandwidth retainers. And I was like, you need to just find you one client where you pitch them risk-free, like whatever, on just overseeing their marketing and just accept that you're building a case study and that maybe this isn't the one that will pay you your career, but this will give you the proof that you need to then go and do it over and over again. It's just like, how can you say that you can do stuff until you've done it? Frankly, you just can't. Like you can theoretically know, but like, yeah, no wonder you're having so much resistance. I get to get on conversations with people and say things. I'm very honored and like humbled to do it, but because I've now done it, that's why. Like it's like cool. Whereas before it was all theoretical.
So over the last year, I've seen something I've never seen before. Copywriters and marketers, they're making more money than ever before, especially the top 1%. And if you want to be one of them and you want to join us and you want to get, insights into exactly what's happening in our industry and also get my raw and unfiltered thoughts, the stuff that we're not sharing here on YouTube, then apply to join my email list at list.copywriting.org. And I'll see you in my next email. Now let's get back to the video. This is where it comes down to, being willing to pay the price for the career that we have, right? Where it's like, you can, how much, I was actually having this conversation, funny enough, also with a copywriter recently, and they were busy telling me they're not enjoying some of the client work that they're doing. And I said, okay, cool. That makes total sense. Like, same, I've had that before. But what about if you look at the names of all these businesses I showed them, so sorry, let me just give context. I showed this copywriter, another copywriter's like CV, bio, Facebook and LinkedIn page and like all the results. And I said, you see all these names that this copywriter's like done work for and all the results that they've got. And this is impressive and it'll probably close them a lot of clients. If you could buy that buy those results, buy those trusted by brands, like you could buy that bio, how much do you think that bio would be worth for your business? Like if you could just buy it, $50,000, $100,000 maybe? Because if you could just buy it, then you'd be able to close this client, this client, this client, this client with all those results. And it was like I think I managed to get him to agree that like $50,000 for that would probably be worth it because you could take out a loan for $50,000, you could get those results, and within 2 months you could have like let's say $10K a month worth of business. Within a year you've paid it off and you have all those results. It's a great deal. So it's like okay, cool. So right now you're paying for those names. And it's worth $50,000 and it's true leverage. And it's not just, it's real leverage and you're just paying with your time and maybe with a little bit of frustration. But it's like you're actually building, that's the play right now. The play is not to go and charge $10K a month. The play is to accumulate the results and the names and the case studies and the experience that you need to say, hey, listen, I'm going to be, I've done this for so-and-so. Honestly, that's why I'm here today is because I was able to say, hey, I had one client I was working with that I helped them make $500,000 a month with email alone. And that really launched my career. I can't say it was like obviously all me, right? Because they had the funnel, they were spending millions on ads, they had good offers, as it is with all copy, but like I was still responsible for the email and that was the revenue. And that really launched my email career in the early days. It was easy to close clients. Every client that came to me, I'd say, how big is your list? And they'd say like 100,000 people and they're like quite happy about it. And I was like, yeah, that's good. So I have quite a lot of experience. And they'll say, you have experience with Active Campaign. I'd say, yeah, We were managing a list of about 1 million people, doing about 500K a month with that. So I'm pretty familiar. And then they'd be like, 1 million contacts, 500K a month. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
and I say, so you're not quite yet. Like, and then in the sales call, you could be like, so at the end of the sales call, you could say, well, you're not quite at that level yet. Like you have to install a couple of these things, but like, let's work you towards that. It's a good frame. It's a great frame, not quite there yet, but like, and it's great. It's such a great way to sell. So just go get that. If you're a copywriter listening to this, pay the price, work really, really hard on the results. Go and actually do the work before you go and give all these ideas to clients. Just finish the stuff that they pay you for. And then if you do pitch them ideas, give them like low-hanging fruit, easy ideas that don't take a lot from them or their team first to build some upfront trust. Because here's the thing, like I know that this is the same case to me. Like I've got people on my team, for our education business for copywriters, and they will make like a small ask, and then we do it. And then there's another small ask. And after a while, it's like, yeah, of course, like, let's do whatever you need. Like, let me see how I can support you with a thing. Because you've built up that momentum where I know, like, okay, we're going to actually deliver instead of just an idea that flops,
That's exactly right. Yeah. I was thinking about this, and I'm like, so many, service providers are trying to like get out of the friend zone from their contracts and like get into a real relationship with their businesses. And I'm like, it's way easier to just go find a partner. Like just say, I'm looking for a girlfriend, instead of like doing this, like maybe I can befriend a bunch of people and upgrade them to girlfriend status. Why not just go say, I'm looking for a girlfriend? Okay, cool. You got some ideas, go do them for somebody. Like it's just that simple. There's probably a business out there that will let you do it.
Just make sure you do it, though. You don't make the team do it. You do it.
Oh, we just, and like understand that the identity shift is gonna just take a while. I mean, it takes a while to get in shape. It takes, like, mastery takes time. That's why it's mastery, because you can't do it overnight. And when you're turning around, like when you're trying to level up, you have to celebrate what you have accomplished and realize that there's so many more levels to go. And that's a real conversation that you have to have with yourself, to be like, I either need to adjust my expectations to match my current reality so that I'm not angsty and embittered, or I need to commit to doing the things and becoming the person that's worthy of these like subsequent levels, basically. And either is fine. Just don't be like, you're starting to sound like so-and-so complaining about who peaked in high school. Like, that's really what you're sounding like already. It's like, man, you would have met me as a football, as quarterback. I was like, bro, like, okay, what have you done since then? Kind of vibe.
I want to take the conversation towards email for a bit, because we've been talking about how to launch offers and how to, scale offers and really multiply the revenue on a business. Now it's like, great, that's good. The reach, assuming the reach is somewhat there for the business, and you're getting people on the email list, what do you do? What do you do with those people? Like, especially with these sophisticated personal brands? Like, I know BizOps, like basic BizOp could be a little bit different, but with a guy like Matt Gray, with a guy that's got like thought leadership, how do you treat those subscribers? What kind of messaging do you think about? Like, just general ideas for how you would go about that. Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, you don't send daily emails, because they are our thought leaders, not BizOp brands that are trying to burn and churn their list. We're trying to actually cultivate a relationship with these people and build trust. And so we had, for Matt, it was like the Saturday was like a big, super value-based email. Like literally would take me 4+ hours to create it. Like big, basically a blog, style thing. That had some promos and asks, but like it was not a pitch email in the standard thing. And then we had a Wednesday email that was more of like a like a weekly digest kind of thing, to where we basically, anything that was happening that we wanted to give extra attention to, we would use it in that email basically. So it's like, here's a YouTube video, here's a special offer, low ticket product, here's something coming up, here's a workshop, that we're having. Like, we just use that as like a midweek check-in to basically say whatever we kind of wanted unapologetic. You know, it was like, it was connection based, but it was like also very just like, hey, happy Wednesday. Here's 2 things, you know? And it was just like almost an update of to keep the finger on the pulse, you know? Well, like, so they, cause we're doing stuff all the time. And so like, it's so hard to do that kind of check-in when you're doing some sort of like big, like newslettery style update. I mean, email. Because like you're gonna like keep throwing in more and more things. It just is overwhelming, and people aren't gonna read it at all. So for my current client, you know, he doesn't like being salesy. So we have 3 emails a week. I know our competition sends daily emails, and they're quite hypey and questionable from a compliance perspective. They're probably making more. They're probably doing more sales, but like it's about kind of like what the client wants to do. And it's like this is my structure for this. Monday is a like aspirational, but like heavy CTA style email. Like it's basically a sales email, but it's Monday. So people are like back in the office or whatever, and they're like, oh, my life sucks. Cool. Guess what? We have a solution. Want your life to be better? Wednesday, testimonial style email where we highlight a student success story. Friday, content email because it's the weekend. We don't want people booking, like our sales team isn't available on the weekends. We don't really necessarily want people booking calls with us 3 days out because your close rate goes down realistically. So like, let's give them some content and they have the option to book off of some of that content. You know, maybe there's a PS or whatever, but like, let's just get them into consumption mode. So they're like being further indoctrinated so that when Monday rolls around and they're feeling sad about their life and we are like, hey, guess what? We have a magic solution for you. They're like, ooh, I'm slightly more committed and interested now than I was last week. And then I'd say a lot of the magic with email comes in automations though. That's realistically. So your low ticket, do you have an upsell automation? Do you have automations for when people book calls, when people are qualified and don't book a call, when people don't show up for their calls? Like, do you have all of these kind of automations in place? That's what's really, those are bigger needle movers because they're tailored to the behavior, like the intent, like it's higher intent behavior basically.
That is such an interesting way to do it, where you actually have a very, not newsletter style, almost like a digest, right? Like almost a weekly report style email marketing instead of these story-based daily emails and stuff. What was the decision like that with Matt? Did you come in and present this idea, or was it a bit of a mix of what the market already was used to with the business, or like how did you come across this sort of cadence?
I kind of like suggested that a little bit. He had a once a week newsletter that was copied basically from like, I think what Justin Welsh was doing, the Saturday Solopreneur or whatever. So we had like a Saturday newsletter basically. I then developed it more, you know, into what it was and stuff. The thing is, I come from e-commerce, like e-com email marketing. Yeah. That's what my background was in. That's what I did. I had like I worked with like 55 plus businesses in e-commerce. People don't want daily emails from their e-commerce brands. They will tune you out. Yeah. I mean, you can send them. It's fine. Like if you want to, guess what? They're not paying me enough to send it. And they're not going to pay me more realistically. But look at most e-commerce agencies. They spend out 3 to 4 emails, like 2 to 4 emails a week. That's what their deliverables are. Most e-commerce businesses.
Interesting.
I mean, agencies. That's what they sell. And so for me, it's like very much like, I'd say, you know, like copywriters are so committed, like so hung up on like this 5K retainer. Well, okay, you have to send 7 emails a week. I'm going to pause actually. Once with one of my e-commerce company clients, I actually tracked a week where I sent 3 emails and a week where I sent 4 emails. We made the same amount of revenue across the same, like different numbers of emails. I was like, it doesn't seem to really matter. Like the people that are going to buy are going to buy, you know, it didn't at that time. But all that to say, I'd say that copywriters are so committed to this 5K thing. And I like, it's basically, it's just overloading with value to make the price feel more palatable, basically. But you could theoretically get away with a lot less work and slightly less more money, you know? And then just do it. I was like, I love the days of 3 emails a week for a client. I was still getting it. Like, how cool, how chill is that? That's way easier than 7 emails a week. I don't even know what to say 7 days out of the week for things, you know? And for Matt, it was very much like cool, we have the weekly newsletter. We need another option, another chance. It's like, we've got all these subscribers. We're just not actually talking to them 6 other days a week. We should tell them, like, if we want to drive attention, if we want to drive traffic, we should email them at least one more time. Because that's totally fine. Like, you can do that from a communication cadence. Yeah, for Matt, it was like, because it was so personal brand driven, like there was a lot of emphasis on brand. So like, how are we being perceived? Like, how are we showing up and how are we being perceived? I'm like, you can easily email someone 2 times a week and them not think you're crazy.
I think it makes sense. I mean, there was one client I worked with that he would tell me, Matt, you know, the people I'm coaching, they're business owners. They don't want to hear from me every single day. That's what he
exactly
said to me.
right.
He's like, yeah, like it's like, why would we want to talk to them every day? Let's just talk to them 3 times a week.
That's exactly right. I don't want to talk to most people every day. You know? I'm just like, this is the thing, and I understand, like, it's cool, it's important, but like, you got these email marketer, like email list managers, and they're just selling you on the dream. Like, guys, this is just real life, okay? Emails are not that magic. Like, they will work, they do work, they're important. That should be a given. Like, going to the gym, like eating healthy, like come on. These should just be non-negotiables. Like, but also, let's stop trying to artificially inflate the importance of something, you know, to make it sound sexier, because all you're doing is hurting yourself. You're building, if you're trying to build something else or force it to be more than it actually is, guess who's going to pay the cost of that misalignment or the reveal, like at the end? You. That's not going to be like, because the client is going to be left holding the bag, you know, or they will fire you. So like, it's just so that, I don't know if he's done more emails now, but I would say 3 is a pretty good cadence, assuming, to me, it's like, I just think most value-based emails are like actually BS. I'm like, this isn't value, this is sales email. Like, you just disguised a sales message.
Yeah, it's difficult to write true value emails because you also need to have like the thoughts of the founder, or depending on the sophistication of the market. It's like, is it really, how are you going to get those unless you're sitting on the phone extracting them, or letting the founder actually tell you the ideas, right? If you just sit there and you're trying to be the thought leader for the business, then they're really just reading emails from you. And that's fine, but if they read your ideas, you're a copywriter, so your ideas involve selling, so they're gonna enjoy those sales emails, you know.
And it can work. It just is, understand that things like context matters, you know, and that adjust what you do based off of the context. And I mean, it's welcome to try, but like, I just know, like, you try and sell a personal brand, like a real personal brand on a 5K, like 30-day or weekly, daily emails, like there's probably going to be some resistance to that because they care about their image. They don't want to be seen as obnoxious. Mm-hmm. All these people that like send daily emails, they want to make money. They don't actually care that much about their reputation. They're in the game of reputation, management. They're like, just stay, as long as we stay slightly more positive to where our Facebook ads aren't impacted, we don't really care. As long as like 0.04% spam rate, that's fine. Like, just keep it there in full send, basically. Like, that's a different game. That's not really brand management. That's you just trying to like extract. And that's okay. That's cool. Just nobody does, like, don't be fooling yourself. You know, like, everyone just be very open and put your cards on the table so we can develop the best strategy in the plan based off of what we're actually working with. But that's the other thing, like, as an email copywriter, the reason why I leveled up is because I got frustrated all the time that I couldn't really grow a client's revenue that much because it was contingent on so many other things in the business that I had no say over. And like, you can't send more emails to fix the fact that there is not a, if you don't have, I just recently wrote around this, but like a lot of businesses are built around the idea of acquisition, not retention. Well, if you're in the acquisition game, guess what? You're always trying to outrun your ad costs. That's it. But the people that you get in that, or you might not even have two things. The people that you get tend to be lower quality, frankly. But second of all, you often don't have the business infrastructure even or the setup for the second sale, which is how you actually sustainably scale, is by reselling to pre-existing buyers. And you can't out-email a bad business structure indefinitely. Like, it'll catch up to you.
Yep.
That's why all these offers fatigue. That's why they burn. That's why these businesses go away, because they're not real. They are offers disguised as business. And again, that's okay. But like, as a service provider, as a copywriter, like, it's important that you understand this and that you're positioning your future and your career in light of that.
So what would you say then for a copywriter now looking to, grow their income in 2026 and help the kind of clients that align with them and they have more of a say in the business? Like, how would you suggest that they go ahead and build their life and business? No, maybe just mostly the business, but like the life around the business, like the business life.
Well, I mean, sometimes the copywriters is like, you need to be real about what you actually want, what you say, like what you actually want, not what you say you want. What do you actually want? And are you committed to doing what's necessary to get that thing? So maybe you just need to have a real talk with yourself about what you actually want in life. Maybe if you're like, I want a cruisy, like 10K a month, whatever. Maybe it's easier to do that off of smaller packages where you have less deliverables and it's just easier to do. Maybe, I don't know. There's like a lot of things there. But then if you want to grow, if you want to do bigger things, if you want to build, then honestly, we need to talk about how are the ways that you can reasonably do that. Okay, growing as a copywriter. So team, agency, maybe, or like higher paid person, basically. Those are kind of your three options, basically. You either stay the face of a brand as a copywriter and you build a team so you can do more at scale. You build an agency around your thing, which is kind of similar to team, but a little bit different. And obviously you can, but in both roles, like, you're still like, you become the CEO and like all of those real things. And you have to do what you're doing at scale, or you figure out a third path to achieve your goals, leveraging parts of the skills that you have that would actually have a chance of getting you that desired outcome. So for me, I was like, I don't really want team. Like, I'm happy to have a team member or two or whatever, but I was like, I definitely don't want to be like, I don't want an email marketing agency. That's what I didn't want that. Okay, well, how else am I going to scale? How am I going to get paid 10K a month? I got to have a more important position in the company, frankly. Or I got to have skills that are worth, if I want to get paid as a consultant, I need to have skills and experience that is worth the people paying me that amount of money for that thing, and then I got to build it. Like, I got to go build the thing. So you got to recognize, regardless, you have to treat what you're doing as a real business, and recognizing that you are in the most baby phases.
Okay.
A few grand as a solo provider, you're a freelancer. That's okay. Like, you're an entrepreneur, that's fine. But like, no, there needs to be a lot more things in place. Also, side note for you, I don't know if this is part of your program, but I would totally, if you don't have like how to systemize and outsource and how to bring on team, that would totally be a higher ticket package for you. But I had that thought earlier.
Ooh, like what exactly? Like for business owners, how to build it?
No, well, I would just have, like, if you're working with copywriters, The tier is how to get to the first like 10, 20K. And then it's like how to outsource, how to bring a team to where you can do 50K plus. Cause that's another level. That's another skill set. Like, cause you're going from provider to manager, and that requires a whole other skill set basically. And that's the reality of like, from a business, from like a growing your copywriting business, you've got to learn how to acquire people. You need acquisition. You need to lock in and nail your acquisition channel so you can get clients, and you need scalable offers, like realistically, that you don't hate.
Yeah, you have to not hate them. And we do actually have something in my dojo on exactly how to go from 20 to 50. So I'm glad that you said that, because that's validating it. Yeah. Yeah, I do help people to hire their team out and get their time back. So that's awesome. Brennan, this has been good stuff. I've taken quite a lot of notes, a lot of different perspectives actually than quite a lot of copywriters on how to do email and how to see offers. I like it. I think it's it is nice to have a fresh perspective. Where did you develop the this kind of perspective on how you see marketing? I mean, a lot of people will argue with you about daily emails and have a very different perspective, you know? Yeah, so like it's cool. How did you kind of reach this point?
First of all, I've just been doing this for 9 years now, so I just have a little bit of experience, frankly. And I've got a lot to learn. So I'm not claiming that my way is the only way. I'm saying it is a way. Second thing is, like, I got tired of trying to pitch clients on things that I didn't really want to do. So don't do it. Like, I don't know, like, why? It's your business. Build it differently then. I didn't want to be a daily email guy. Like, I just did it. Guess what? There are clients that don't want daily emails. You can find them. And one of the easier way, like for me, I'm the head of marketing. Emails is an add-on that I do for businesses, for clients now. It's a bonus that they get. So they definitely don't care. And I was like, well, if you want someone to write daily emails, we can hire out for that. Cool. Or I can write you 2 or 3 emails a week as part of my retainer. And most businesses, again, like it's just recognizing, how do you add the most value to the business? How can you, and like, that's what I wanted. How can I add the most value to be email marketers are a decently chop and change role where you can provide them. A head of marketing is a bit harder to replace, especially when they are doing things like a couple of week emails and building low ticket funnels for you and helping craft your offer. Like, those roles are just a lot harder to replace, and you get paid more because of what you actually contribute to the company, which is what I wanted. You know, I wanted to have the ability to add 100K in new revenue that wasn't contingent on the leads that came in being better than the ones the week before, you know, or that the ads were converting correctly. Because that's what a lot of your email revenue is coming off of your ad spend. It's tied to your ad spend. Your ad spend goes down. Oh no, the list shrinks. Oh no, now I'm like, they're making less business because we didn't bring in as many subs this month as we did last month. And I have zero power over that. So then I'm just left looking like I'm not doing something, or I'm contributing less, even though it was completely outside of my hand. So I guess that's the thing. Like, I didn't like being so culpable for so many things that weren't really within my control.
So then you just took on more of the ownership so that you could have more control over those things.
That's exactly right. And I could be rewarded accordingly.
Do you think copywriters, do you think it's a logical next step to move from copywriter to being like a marketing director or head of marketing? Or is that something that is not like usually the ideal path for that? I don't know. Like, what do you think of the progression of the career progression like that?
I think if you love copywriting, you should look at ways to become the absolute and best paid copywriter in the world. I think if you are using copywriting as a means to an end, you should consider looking at a bigger picture option for you.
There are a few people that will come to me and they'll say, like, I'm making money from copywriting, but my goal is to do this and this. It's like, well, everything else you want to do has nothing to do with copywriting. So it's clearly a means to an end for you. Cool, that's fine. Like, get the skill to this level, but then you should like start looking towards that transitioning out of this if you really don't enjoy it. And then there'll be other copywriters that will say, they'll come to me and their goal isn't even to make more money. Their goal is to like just write better copy. It's like, okay, you clearly in a phase of your life where you love copy much more than even the money. It's like you just want to be really good at copy. So it's a great way to put it. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, stop, just be on. Again, all of this thing just keeps coming back to like, just be honest, guys. Like, be honest about yourself. Be honest about your clients. Be honest about the people that you're trying to sell to. Like, that's where the real magic happens, is just when everyone is like real, so we can have frank conversations and hopefully come to a desired outcome. You know, like, I like grown-ups. And I'd say a lot of marketing gets a bad rep because there's so much manipulation in it. We're not realizing that like people love buying stuff and people have needs, and they will very happily do those things without much like prodding or forcing if it makes sense. So like, yeah, as a copywriter, what's the best path? If you want to make a lot more money and you love copywriting, okay, cool. Well, you need to look into like owning more of the copy side of things so that you can charge money. Or you need to look at, maybe this means I need to partner with someone and make them a bunch of money with my copy skills and have take of that. It still comes with more ownership. Like, all the paths come with more ownership. It's just which path of ownership do you want to take? For me, I was like, I want to be more in the marketing role, not the copywriting role.
And for me, I've had a different situation. For me, I tried that, what you did, where I wanted to be in the marketing seat, and I didn't enjoy it. And I did it more than once, because I think that's the thing, is a lot of people, they'll do it like once and they're like, I don't like it. I did it multiple times where I became the, marketing director, and I just don't enjoy it, And I think obviously like everybody's different, right? So for me, I enjoy writing copy. So the way I've built my business, the copywriting business, copywriting.org, I actually write most of the copy still, like I like writing the copy.
Awesome.
Everything else in the business I delegated. So I could just write copy, I could just write copy, and I can just critique copy and be on calls. And now I've got some people helping me a little bit with the copy, because now I want to do a bit of other stuff for other businesses. But
sure,
I've seen businesses do the exact opposite of that, where it's like they get out of copy as fast as possible because that's not their thing. So it's like I think one of the great things we've talked about today is like, okay, you need to know how to like leverage offers that the market actually cares about. You need to write emails in the way that the market actually cares about. But you also need to like do something that you care about for yourself to make it all align. Otherwise, you're not going to sustain anything. So we've really gone like full circle in this, because I think you got to start with you, and then you got to figure out what is the thing that you want to do for other people. And then it's like, how do you want to show up for those people? And that's literally what you do for yourself and you do for clients. So I love it. I love it. I hope everybody's that's watching this has found some value, Thank you. It's been good.
Of course. No, happy to. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And happy to, if I can contribute any more, let me know.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd love to share with copywriters and marketers before we wrap up today?
I've had a lot of strong words already. I guess I would say, like, you can have so many amazing things. It's up to you to make it happen. And that's it. And so the cool thing is you get to pick, though. So it's awesome.
Yeah, choose your business. Yeah, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed our chat. The internet didn't go away a few times, but I think we made it through, and I hope you guys watching this found a lot of value in it. I definitely got quite a lot of notes here. Where can people find you if they want to follow you and see what you're up to? And
yeah, well, I'm literally just on Facebook right now, pretty much. I've got an underwhelming business Instagram that it's gonna wait till I have team in place to really grow that properly. So we're just gonna Facebook, brah.
I'll put the Facebook in the description of this video. Thank you, Brennan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. No, thanks. Awesome to connect, and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.
Yeah, chat soon, man. Take care.
All right, cheers. Bye-bye.